I'm Anil Kumar, and in this video we will understand one-side limits. The question here is determine the infinite limits. We have two examples. The first one is limit when x approaches minus 7 from left side of x plus 1 divided by x plus 7. Part B, second question is limit when x approaches minus 7 from the left side for x plus 9 divided by x plus 7, right? Let us see how to find their limits. Now these two questions seem to be very similar. There is only one change, and that is on this number, right? So instead of 1 we change it to 9 just to see what is the effect of this number. Before really calculating any values, let us understand this concept. So what we have here is we can try to actually sketch this function. The denominator is x plus 7. If I substitute minus 7 here, minus 7 plus 7 is 0. Numerator is not 0 for the same value. Anything divided by 0 is infinitely large, and therefore we'll have a vertical asymptote at minus 7, right? So this vertical asymptote is at x equals to minus 7. Now when we are saying limit of the function as x approaches minus 7 from left, that minus small thing on the top means approaching from the left side. That means from this side when you're approaching. Then what happens to the function? Now if I have a value which is, let us say, minus 7.1, let us say if I substitute a value which is slightly more than minus 7, this is minus 7, right? If the value is slightly, less than minus 7, means on the left side, in that case numerator is negative and denominator is also negative, right? Because let us say if I substitute x as minus 7.1, if I write x equals to minus 7.1, what happens? We get this function as minus 7.1 plus 1 divided by minus 7.1 plus 7. Now the numerator is positive. Minus 7.1 will give us minus 6.1, right? And the denominator is also negative since it is minus 0.1, right? So approximately we get this value as a positive value, but it's large. When you divide by 0.1, you get 61 as your answer, which is relatively large. So we say that the value of this function approaches positive infinity, right? Now what happens when I change this value to minus 7.001, bringing it very, very close to minus 7? See what happens. So the numerator, let me write down in brackets, will be minus 7 let's say 001, right? And then we have plus 1, that is the numerator, divided by the denominator will take as within brackets minus 7.001 plus 7, bracket close, equals to. If I write instead of 7.1, if I use the value minus 7.001, I get 6001. Do you see how great it is? It gets almost multiplied by 100 times. Do you see that? So that is what we say, that it is approaching positive infinity. This number is positive in nature. So that is what we are trying to figure out, which is determine the infinite limits. So when you are approaching 7, minus 7 from the left side, we figure out that the function is becoming higher and higher, positive in nature, and so we can write this as positive infinity, right? So the limit of this function is positive infinity. Now let's solve this one. So here we need to first understand the situation. So let's again make similar kind of a sketch, right? It is almost the same situation with one minor difference. You're again approaching from the left side. You're approaching from this side. -7 from the left side. But if I write a value which is, let us say, -7.1, then numerator is positive, denominator is negative, correct? So we are approaching negative infinity. Is it okay? So the answer for this should be negative infinity. How we can also do is that we can actually make a table of values. So this is second method which I'm telling you now. And we can evaluate the value of the function for different values of x. So when I say approaching -7 from negative side, that means you can substitute a value like 7.1, calculate the value, like 7.01, calculate the value, or -7.001, calculate the value. Let's do this calculation and see for ourselves what is the value of this function f of x for these values, correct? And how does it approach? What value does it approach, right? So what we have here is that in the numerator we have minus 7.1, and then we have plus 9, bracket close, divided by, within brackets, minus 7.1 plus 7, bracket close, equals to. So what we get here is, for minus 7.1, we get minus 19 as our answer. Now if I change this value of minus 7.1 to minus 7.01, then what happens? Let's check. If I do this 01 and say equal to, we get minus 199. And if I change it to minus 7.001, then what happens? Equals to, we get minus 1999. You see, it increases rapidly. So we are saying that as we come closer and closer to -7 from the left side, the value becomes almost very, very large, negative. So it is approaching negative infinity, correct? So that is what we understand. Now as an exercise for you, you should figure out what is, so let me give you the question. What is the limit of the given function, which is x plus 9 over x plus 7, as x approaches -7 from the right side, positive, right? So you can substitute minus 6.9 or minus 6.999 to figure that out, right? You should expect this answer, right? So but make a table of values to find. Similarly, here also, you can find what is the limit of x plus 1 over x plus 7 when x approaches -7 from the right side, correct? The answer should be negative infinity. So you can do this as a practice question. I'm Anil Kumar, and I hope that helps. Thank you and all the best.